So just about a month ago, the media headlines were talking about how I'd been banned from every liquor licensed venue in Western Australia and that I was leaving WA purely because of this ban. I've been in Victoria for just over a month now, and I'm due to be back in Western Australia next week. However, I've put in an online application that's required to come back into WA, and it's been declined under the basis that I'm a non-WA resident. 3 days before I was due to fly out to Victoria for a trip, the police came knocking on my door to issue me with a barring notice and banning me from every liquor licensed premises in Western Australia. The media headlines caught on pretty quickly and were talking about how I was leaving Western Australia simply because of this ban. The West Australian wrote a massive article about my ban and about my activism. They wrote this, so this is the article here. It's just a massive one-page article on about how I'm leaving Western Australia, and it's basically implying that I'm leaving Western Australia for good. So the headline title on the internet article of this West Australian article states, "Vegan activist Tash Peterson leaving WA after being banned from every pub in the state." It goes on to say, hardline vegan Tash Peterson is bailing on WA after being banned from every pub in the state. In a video uploaded to Instagram, Miss Peterson said she had been served a notice banning her from every licensed premises in WA. If she does set foot in any pub, club or restaurant serving booze, she can cop a $10,000 fine. The email I received from the G2G pass application says this email serves as a notification that your application to undertake travel was unsuccessful. It then goes on to say, reason for unsuccessful application, non-WA resident. I have been a West Australian resident since the age of 3 years old. I have a West Australian licence, and when I issued my application to return to Western Australia, I put in my residential West Australian address that I would be returning to. When I filled out the G2G application, I made sure that my driver's licence information was put in there, my West Australian driver's licence, by the way. I even put an image of my licence in the application, and in my return address, it's obviously my home address in Western Australia that I put in, and even my next of kin address is a West Australian address. So I'm not sure where the West Australian police are getting this idea from that I'm a non-WA resident. Like, it just seems very suspicious to me that my application has been denied and they're making claims that I'm a non-WA resident. Like, I don't know what to think of this. I mean, has it got something to do with all these media headlines going on about how I've been kicked out of WA? Like, a lot of people think I've literally been kicked out of the state, and I didn't think so until doing this application. Like, I willingly left Western Australia. I didn't have to leave. I wanted to come over to Victoria for a bit and do some activism. I'd had this trip planned since January. So it wasn't like a last minute trip or a last minute thing being kicked out of Western Australia. I left at my own will, but now I actually can't get back into the state. And I even put in my application that I need to be back for the 12th of August because I have a court date at Perth Magistrates Court for a disorderly charge from my activism, and I need to make sure that I return within 14 days before the court date so I can self-quarantine. So I even put that information in this application, and it's still being denied and making false claims that I'm a non-WA resident. So this is just absolutely ridiculous. Just another, I mean, I don't want to get full conspiracy here, but it's just another thing that's sort of being used against me to silence my activism. I mean, the liquor license ban itself was definitely, you know, twisting the law to suit what, you know, they wanted to do to me, which was to silence my protesting, because a big part of my protests are in restaurants and places that do sell liquor. So as an animal rights activist being served a barring notice, which is designed for drunk and disorderly people, it's got nothing to do with my actions. I'm never drunk or disorderly when I'm protesting, yet I'm receiving these bans that, you know, are implying, well, you were drunk and disorderly and violent in a liquor licensed premises, so you need to be banned. I mean, yeah, it has absolutely no relevance to my protesting at all. And then just on top of that, actually having an application to be denied back into Western Australia is just ridiculous, you know? I need to get back into WA. I have a court case. So what I'm going to do is redo another application, and this time I will have to specify that I'm a West Australian resident, because apparently my residential West Australian address and a photograph and details provided about my West Australian licence isn't enough for the West Australian Police to recognise that I'm a WA resident. So I will keep you all updated on what happens.